Cinderella's marriage collapsed far sooner than anyone had imagined. The prince's passion, the same fervour that had driven him to scour the kingdom with a glass slipper in hand, cooled almost magically the moment he brought her back to the castle. Inside those vast stone walls, Cinderella had nothing to do. The princess life she had once dreamed of revealed itself to be something far less romantic, an existence that was terrifyingly dull and bitterly lonely. Her stepsisters began visiting the castle from time to time, now posing as what they liked to call kind informants. They came bearing gossip, that the prince had become infatuated with a new princess, that a child would be born next spring, that a magnificent wedding was already being prepared. Apparently they say you're too plain, too serious, no fun at all. How dreadful, don't you think? Cinderella listened quietly as their mockery drifted past her. Of course, the prince had never loved her. He had simply fallen in love with the image of himself, a man living out a dramatic romance. Not long after, one of the prince's attendants appeared. With an apologetic bow, he handed her a single sheet of paper. Cinderella read it once, then she signed, without a word. What Cinderella received in return was a small castle on the outskirts of town, nothing more. How exactly am I meant to make a living? For a moment she considered the question. Then she returned to what she knew best: cleaning, cooking, laundry. She began offering her services by the hour, in other words, as a housekeeper. Whispers followed her everywhere. A former princess doing servant's work. Cinderella paid them no attention. She had always valued survival more than pride. Her work was meticulous. Rooms she cleaned seemed to breathe again. Her cooking carried a quiet elegance. Dresses she restored looked as if time itself had been undone. Word spread. Requests arrived one after another. Before long, she expanded her small operation, taking on assistants, adding services, even offering interior coordination and party planning. One evening, after work, she clinked glasses with her staff and friends, and suddenly a thought crossed her mind. I'm happiest now. The trouble began the very next day. At the mansion of a powerful nobleman, one of her younger staff accidentally shattered a tea set that had supposedly been passed down through generations. The nobleman was notorious, greedy, petty, vindictive. He presented Cinderella with 3 options. 1. Pay immediate compensation for the tea set. 2. Surrender the young staff member to serve as a maid in his household, for life. 3. Transfer ownership of Cinderella's business to him and work under his control until the debt was repaid. Her answer was due in 1 week. Compensation was impossible, but handing over the trembling young woman who kept apologizing behind her, that was unthinkable. Cinderella braced herself. Yet what filled her chest was something darker than fear, a suffocating, inescapable despair. In the end, she thought, I haven't changed at all. To return once again to a life of obeying someone else's orders. The day of the deadline arrived. When Cinderella stepped into the nobleman's mansion, she immediately sensed that something in the room had shifted. Then she saw him, the prince who had once abandoned her. He stood there as if it were the most ordinary thing in the world. Calmly, he explained that he had purchased the tea set. Seeing him again after so long, Cinderella felt something strange. The radiant prince she once remembered was nowhere to be found. Before her stood only an ordinary man, a slightly weary, middle-aged king. Through rumours, she had heard fragments of his story, the massive debts left behind by his father, the former king, the relentless, unglamorous labour required to keep the kingdom running. Somewhere along the way, the prince had grown, not into a fairy tale hero, but into a man. And, from a distance, it seemed he had quietly continued watching over the woman he once married. "Repayment can wait," he said simply, "whenever you're ready." Those were the only words he left her. Then he climbed into his carriage and disappeared down the road. Cinderella watched the carriage grow smaller. Something slid down her cheek. Relief, joy, regret. She could not tell which, but she kept walking. Without wiping away the tears, Cinderella walked forward, on her own 2 feet, along the path she had chosen.